Hello, Internet, and welcome to the show. My guest today has played guitar for Warrant, Quiet Riot, Tuff, Paul Gilbert, and my band, Lips to Generation. He is an entrepreneur and owns a food truck in Cleveland, Ohio called Smokin Rock N Roll. He's like my big brother musically and has been a friend for many, many years. We talked about work ethic, rock and roll, family, and a whole bunch of other cool topics. So please give it up for the mighty Billy Morris. And three, two, one. And this time the audio is working. So take two with my interview with my good friend Billy Morris, formerly of Warrant, formerly of Quiet Riot, formerly of Tuff, formerly of every single '80s hair band. Billy Morris has been in all the bands. Welcome back.
Wait a minute. Currently of Tuff.
Currently of Tuff. Sorry, it's man, it's hard to keep track of. I just assume like any hair band I like, you are in or have been in it at some point. So, once again, my
Played with Jamie St. James of Black and Blue.
yeah, you play with James. You were an Angel, for a little bit. All the bands.
I played with Frank DiMino of Angel.
Yeah. I count that. So
yeah, I've jammed on stage with LA Guns. I played Never Enough with LA Guns, and Tracy Guns gave me his guitar. And then he said, "You play that better than me." I'm like, "Nah, I just playing a cover band, played it a lot, but he's the goods, man. He wrote that stuff, and I love Tracy."
Yeah. So you're one of the actually probably the most requested guest I've gotten on the show up to this point because my YouTube fan base, they're small but they're dedicated. They're just like, we want to hear from Billy. We want to hear all his cool stories and all the excitement that he wants to share with the world. And there's so much we gotta I want to get into, but limited time. So I think the best way to start this, we got off on a political tangent, talked about food before I realized the audio wasn't going. But I think a good way to kick off this interview, the Dave Lee Roth story, man. It's a classic.
Okay, so years ago, I got booked. My band was called Kid Wicked, and we were booked to open for David Lee Roth at the Cleveland Agora, the world-famous Cleveland Agora Theater. And it was the night before the show, and I'm like, I'm going to meet David Lee Roth. I'm gonna go to all these titty bars, and I'm going to find David Lee Roth. So I go down to the local, it was called Tiffany's at the time. Currently, it's called Christie's Cabaret. And I walk in, and there's David Lee Roth sitting, by the stage. And I walk up to him, and his gorilla of a security gives me a look. And I said, "Hey, man, it's cool. I just wanted to say, Billy Morris here. I'm opening up for you tomorrow night. It's an honor to share the stage. You're one of my heroes." And he was like smiling and about to say something to me when the girl on stage who was doing this fire routine caught on fire. So so now me and David Lee Roth are like looking at the stage, and this girl's on fire, and they jump up on stage and they start beating her with these rugs and everything, and they got her put out, and they had to take her to the hospital, and it didn't smell so good. But that is a moment that I've never forgot. But I'm sure David Lee Roth, if you were to ask him, what? If you would ask him, David Lee Roth would probably remember that night. Wouldn't remember Billy Morris, but he would remember that night. So my little boy Jordan just walked in the middle of this video interview.
Well, hey,
I'll be right in. Okay?
You're living that domestic life, buddy. You've gone from the wild, debaucherous days of partying with David Lee Roth, and now you've got the missus, you got the kids. You got your food truck business, but you're still
people
rocking.
They go, "How old are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, 54 years old." But here's the thing. I did it the right way. Yeah, so I'm a little older and I got young little kids. They're keeping me young right now. We're racing dirt bikes. We're playing football. We're having a good time. But the point is, I wouldn't have wanted to have kids and they get on a tour bus and be gone for 4 years. I wouldn't want to have kids and get on an airplane and fly to Japan for 3 weeks. So I did all my gallivanting. I lived my rock star dreams. I got nothing more to prove except to prove to myself with more songs I can put out. And, my greatest accomplishment is having these kids and this girl that I met, Leah, which I met her on an airplane flying to a Quiet Riot concert in Mexico. But getting back to doing it the right way, you know, I want to be home with my guys. I can still write and record, and nowadays I can do video interviews and do video shows out of my studio. But the bottom line is, you know, I did it, and now I'm having my kids and being a father, and I did it the right way.
I would say you did do it the right way. I mean, you got to live out your dreams, you got to live out the fantasies, but I think there's validity to just wanting to, really be there as a father and being there for your kids, and just, that's a part of life that I think, so many guys like, have that rock star fantasy and want to go out and live that rock star fantasy. But like to have a family is super fulfilling. And so you got the best of both worlds, and I'm like sincerely happy for you for that. That's just really awesome.
Well, I appreciate that, and it's true. I got a big heart, and I love my family. I love my boys, and life is really good. So I live up here in Cleveland, right outside of Cleveland, right on the lake. The lake's right across the street from me. The wonderful Lake Erie. We go dirt bike riding on the weekends, and I'm playing some shows here and there. And of course, I've got my very successful business alongside my partner Todd Chason of the band Tuff, and we have a very successful food truck business called Smokin Rock N Roll, and that is a full-time 24/7 job alongside of a full-time parent. So, I'm spread very thin nowadays.
Yeah, but hey, you still have the youthful energy. You look good. That's years of not doing heroin will do that for you. So, but you're.
Oh yeah.
The food truck is
I've been
delicious.
off
I
all
love
that
it.
stuff.
So, and I can attest. If you're in Cleveland, you got to go catch some Smokin Rock N Roll. It's probably the best food truck I've ever had. And I'm not just saying that because I know you. That's just sincerely just killer food. And I want to
It
talk.
is.
Tell us a little bit about some of the stuff you got on the menu.
Well, okay, so we're a barbecue truck. We're called Smokin Rock N Roll. You can check us out at smokinrocknroll.com or on any of the social media. But we're a barbecue truck. So our main meat is beef brisket, pulled pork, barbecue chicken. We do ribs every Thursday. So every Thursday we do about 60 slabs of ribs. They all go real fast. We do wings on Wednesday, Wing Wednesday. And we do specials, every Tuesday and Friday we do other specials as well. But our basic thing is beef brisket, pulled pork. But the cool part about it is all of our sandwiches have really cool rock and roll names. Like our number one sandwich is the brisket sandwich. That you would order the Judas beef if you wanted that. And our pulled pork sandwich with the coleslaw on top. It's the traditional smoked pork shoulder, and that's called the Master of Piglets. We do a really good smoked macaroni and cheese, which is the Fleetwood mac and cheese. You can get it really spicy hot. You order that Cowboys from Hell, and that comes with jalapenos on it and stuff. So, like I said, we do a really cool salmon BLT called the Salmon Hagar, and it's fun little rock and roll names, but the food's legit. We're cooking, smoking around the clock. At any time, we'd have like 12 pork butts on the smoker, 8 beef briskets. We got stacks of firewood. We use ash for heat. We use cherry and pear, and some hickory for our flavor. It's a legit smokehouse, and it's a legit business. And
yeah, my mouth is watering just hearing you talk about it, dude.
My partner Todd Chason, he's the lifeblood of it. He's there answering the phones, taking the emails, booking the truck, scheduling the truck, hiring and firing. I don't mean to say this in any way of being, conceited or egotistical, but I'm more the face of the business where, of course, I started the business and I thought of the name and I bought the trucks and built the trucks alongside with Todd. But, I kind of hang out and shake hands and kiss babies,
You're the pretty blonde.
Well, and that's another thing about staying in Cleveland. Another thing, not to sound egotistical, but I did play with the band Warrant. I did play with Quiet Riot, but I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, so I'm kind of a big fish in a small pond. And if I moved out to Nashville, then I got to butt heads with all those big famous country stars and all those big rock stars that did move down there. Mark Slaughter, John Corabi. Who else is down there?
Dave Mustaine. I mean, just so many of those dudes. Like,
Dave Mustaine.
Yeah, there's
that really.
Yeah, there's just a ton of them down here, and it's I took the risk.
That pretty girl from Hailstorm. What's that
Lizzie
really
Hale?
pretty girl? Oh, I like her.
Yeah, we run into actually a lot of the same circles. I've run into her a couple times. She's super super nice. Um,
Oh, I like that guy too, Tony Higbee. I like him too.
oh yeah, yeah, I know Tony. Tony's a good dude. So yeah, actually
Oh,
we run it. Oh, go ahead.
one of the former Kid Wicked guitar players is one of the biggest country studio musicians. His name's Tom Bukovic. Remember I told you about him?
Yeah, yeah, I remember. I mean, a lot of those rock guys
Yeah,
have
he
moved out of the country. There's just more money in it nowadays.
well, he's like on all the big hits. Like you probably heard him tons of times, but he's just a studio musician in the background. I've done some demos down there where I've used studio musicians, and once I left the studio, I don't even remember their names except for the singer. There's a guy down there. There's a singer named Adam Cunningham, and
Oh yeah, I know him. He's really good.
yeah, he is one of my favorite singers. Man, he's amazing. I love that guy.
I've actually done some ghost
A lot of
studio
talent
work
down there, but
myself down
get
here.
back to
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I
you.
didn't mean-
You doing some studio work? Yeah. No, I'm
yeah,
just
just on just a couple of small things here and there that I'm not allowed to say that I'm on, kind of thing. You sign the paper like, I'm on this. You get your money and you leave. But still, it's
nice.
it's it's cool that I'm able to at least do that to a small degree, just to
Yeah.
just to prove your worth, because that's kind of like the ultimate test of your salt. Like, can you be a Nashville studio guy? And if you're able to do that, that's just like, oh shoot, like that's like your Rocky movie. That's proven you can go the distance.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. Um, and then the recording studio business, which I do have a studio up here. I'll always have a recording studio. It's actually connected to the Smokin Rock N Roll kitchen. Half of the room is the Smokin Rock N Roll kitchen, where we, prepare the food and refrigerate the food and clean the pots and pans. And the other half of the room is Audio Bay, my recording studio. So, but the studio business kind of died, because if you want to make a record, you literally could do it on your laptop in your basement with GarageBand and make it sound really, really good. I mean, what's that little girl with the green hair? Billie Eilish, right?
Yeah, I
She
think
did
did
it
all
on
that on her laptop.
GarageBand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I only have the studio because I like to have it, and I use it myself. And I've got a couple producers that use the studio late night. It's my favorite thing. I don't even know they're there. They go in at like 10 o'clock. They stay till 4. I don't even know they're there. And then at the end of the month, here's your money, boss. I'm like, yeah, baby.
now,
Give me those $100 bills. I'll take that all day long. So,
now that's the way to
but there's
do it.
something
That
cool about
passive
owning your own
income.
studio. Yeah.
No, I remember back when we were finishing up the lipstick album, and you offered to sell me the studio for $6,000, and I'm like, oh man, do I want that studio? One of the early studios, I remember, and
Yeah.
but it was like that was right when I was like really determined to move to Nashville. I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to. I knew if I bought the studio, I would stay in Cleveland, and I wanted to go and take that journey and take that risk. But I mean, I considered that because I mean, we recorded some great stuff at the old studio.
Well, when are you moving back?
Man, all my stuff is here. People ask me all the time, when am I moving back? I'm like, man, I've like in the past 10 years I moved like once per year. I'm good. I've been in this house. I have a house. I have a house in Nashville. I've been here for a couple years and I'm firmly planted. I don't feel like going anywhere right now, especially during this pandemic. I'm like,
I'm gonna give you the offer. I'm gonna give you the offer. Just come in, walk in, and run my studio. There, now I'm interviewing you. You want a job?
man, I'm happy with my current day job. It's not in the music industry, but it's taking care of my family, and I've got some other projects I'm working on. Like I'm working on a musical right now. That's sort of my big next music adventure is working on that. So I'm happy with where I am. I've gone on my adventures and I'm on the next one. But I would be lying if I said that wasn't tempting because I love you. I love the Cleveland, and yeah, the running a studio would be fun. But
And your mom and dad's here.
my mom and dad are here, but I'm working on building my own home studio. Like I you know me. I'm all about challenges. I'm all about challenging myself. And my next challenge is like,
Absolutely.
can I build this studio? Can I do this musical? Like the I know I would have so much fun running your studio, but it's like, what is the challenge that feels like the most like a Rocky fight to me? That feels truest in the soul. You got to follow that, and you know how that is.
No, no, yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I mean, I respect that. You know, I don't respect the guys that like this COVID thing happened, so now they're getting unemployment, so all they want to do is sit on the couch because they're making way more money as they went to work. You know, I lost all my band gigs and all my food truck gigs, but I just made a different, turn, parked the truck outside my shop, opened it up to the neighborhood, and it took off even better.
Yeah,
So,
and I was really impressed with what you did with that marketing wise, and you still like you did it ethically, which was really awesome. Like you had the social distancing, you practiced the proper safety procedures. Like you didn't give up on your business, but you also made sure to put the safety of the people like you as a priority. You did both, and you proved that you can do both. And like that, I like when I saw that, like in my feed, I was just so full of pride. I'm like, that's my buddy. That's my buddy. He's out there. He's killing it. He's doing it right. Like I was so freaking proud of you, dude. Just I was like beaming with smiles. Like it was really cool to see that.
well, thank you very much. Yeah, you know what? We were nervous. I wasn't so nervous. I don't know. I'm always gonna like. I told my girl Leah. She was, because she runs a swimming company called Liquid Lifestyles. You can look them up online. Everybody check them out, liquidlifestyles.com. And she lost all of her business because the swimming pools were one of the first things they closed down.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, Leah, don't you worry about a thing. I'm like a cockroach. I'm always going to survive. She goes, oh, you're a cockroach, huh? I'm like, yeah, nothing's gonna take me out. So, and we're surviving. So that's what it is. Billy Morris, the cockroach.
Billy Moore, I think you're the cutest blonde cockroach I've ever seen.
No doubt.
But
So, yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. The Skype delay is very fun on this call. But
No, not at all.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, go ahead. You go ahead. Okay. So, no, I wasn't. I was just going to elaborate on that. I don't know. Just like, you got to take what life throws at you, and you got kids, you got a house, you got bills, you got food you got to put on the table, you got to work your ass off. I give you the guarantee that if you looked at these hands compared to any other rock star's hands, not that I'm a rock star, any other rock and roller, I work my ass off. I shovel, I weld, I hammer, I cut my hands, I go dirt bike racing, I break my bones. I live life. And just because some virus goes down and I'm going to get some unemployment doesn't mean I'm going to sit on the couch and take advantage of the system. You know me, Greg. I work my ass off, and that's the way I live life. I love it.
Yeah, I think we both do. Like when I, got hit with the COVID thing, in Nashville. Like the week when COVID hit, I was out cleaning up after the tornado, like because we had the tornado the same week. So I was cleaning up wreckage, helping out the city, and then as soon as like we were under lockdown, I just like started working out, started writing, started my YouTube channel, which already has more than 1,000 subscribers, and I just like hit the ground running with projects because me, I can't sit still. I've always got to be working. Like you and I are just guys who just always need to be doing something. And
Oh, yeah.
sometimes we spread ourselves too thin where we're like doing 4 different businesses at the same time and gigging and doing all that stuff and still spending time with the family, but that's just like the way we are. Like we can't change. That's just who we are. It's just it's what we do.
I often give advice to people, don't spread yourself too thin. And then I'm the thinnest spread guy out there. I've got recording studios, 2 food trucks, ice cream trailer, full-time band, 3 kids. I go dirt bike riding on the weekends. I'm forgetting something, I'm sure,
right.
But, don't spread yourself too thin, but I spread myself real thin.
Yeah, we both do it. But I think that's maybe one of the reasons why we, got along so well. Even when I was just, a little baby, like 16-year-old, trying to rock and, you took me under your wing. I think you just sense like the work ethic and just, going after it. And I think that's just why we bonded all these years and just always like had that mutual respect of just going after it.
Yeah, you got heart. You got faith and you're confident. You have heart and you work really hard for what you want and do. And I do respect that. So you got my respect, Greg Troyan.
Well, you have my respect too. And I'm actually surprised you haven't called me Glam Rock Greg once this entire interview.
Does anybody ever call you Glam Rock Greg anymore? Didn't you tell me not to call you? Do I call you Nashville Greg now? Or?
No, you can call you. Hey, you know what? It's like there was this great book I read when I was younger about Vikings and about Leif Erikson, and he always got annoyed when his dad would call him a kid and would like try to prove like I'm not a kid anymore, Dad. And then one time
Yeah.
his dad called him a kid, and he just laughed because he had the maturity to just let it roll off him, and that's when he
Right.
knew that his son was finally a man. So maybe like the Glamrock Greg thing was just like the little kid nickname that I didn't want. But if you called it to me now, I would just laugh. And I think that's maybe
Yeah.
the mark of maturity and manhood, where you're just like like Leif Erikson. Once you're able to get over it, that's when you've passed the threshold.
There you have it. All right. Good talking to you, Glam Rock Greg. How's life?
I mean, life is out. As you know, I'm extremely busy. Like the channel has actually been exploding.
By the way, by the way, you are still in my phone as Glam Rock Greg. So
Well, man, I should give you a fun nickname, Billy the Cockroach or something.
there you go. I'll take it all day long.
Yeah, but I like you too much for that. But yeah, I've been like I said, I've been keeping myself very very busy. Just the YouTube channel has been blowing up unexpectedly, which is I did it just
Nice.
as just like a fun thing. I'm just like, I'll just make some videos, and then it's been blowing up. And like I said, a lot of requests for me to talk with my good friend Billy Morris, and so that's finally happening. But that's and the musical. I know a couple people at Disney now, and so I'm working on a script so that I can pitch it. So I'm writing the entire script. I'm writing the songs, and I was actually working on that before the interview, just knocking out as much as I could because me, involved in a million different things. So I'm getting my home studio set up to record some demos, get that script done, and send it out because animation is the one industry that's still thriving right now. Like everything else is shut down, but animators are still
But you
working
can
on their
still
thing.
do it.
So
Nice. Good.
adapt. That's what you got to do. You always got to adapt. See where things are going. You can't. There's validity in staying the course, but sometimes you got to adjust when the outside world changes that much. Like you were in a
Oh yeah,
Nirvana tribute band in the '90s. You knew you had to adjust to the times in order to make the money. Like you get it.
I get it. I actually, yeah, that you I forgot about that. So yeah, um, I was playing, in a typical '80s style rock band in about '92, Kid Wicked, and we're playing at the Odeon downtown Cleveland, a big club. We were opening for a Kiss tribute band, but it was cool because it was like sold out.
Hmm.
And the agent for the tribute band said, your band's great, but I can't book you. But if you were to do a Nirvana tribute, I could book you all over. We're like, all right, let's do it. So we literally learned the songs in the van on the way to the first show, which was like in Virginia Beach. And I had all these cheat sheets of the lyrics, but nobody cared. I was playing the songs and mumbling the lyrics. And the funny thing about the Nirvana band, which was called Teen Spirit, you could go to a major city and play, and it really wouldn't be that crowded. You would go to like Alabama University or any college town, and it was on. It was sold out. It was slam dancing, moshing, stage diving, and I was just like in shock. Holy cow! And it was fun while it lasted. I'm surprised that there aren't any more Nirvana tribute bands because that guy truly was, an icon. Who knows? Maybe I'll do it again. Probably not.
You know, uh, that might be a good niche for me to jump into when everything clears up in Nashville, because we're under the lockdown keeps fluctuating, and it's hard to keep up with everything. And me like, I'm one of my hobbies before the pandemic hit was I was just reading the scientific journal Nature, which is just like a legit like publication of scientific articles and research papers. And so I knew about this like back in November, like back when it first hit China and slaughtered their economy was when I first heard about COVID, and I was like, oh geez, I really hope it doesn't come to the United States, and just kept looking at it and kept looking at it, and then it came like, damn it, and I just knew what was going to happen. It was just it's rough, and the thing is, there is some good news. I actually read about a vaccine trial that's in the first stage and actually read the paper, and it looks like the research is sound. So that's actually some really good news in terms of a vaccine progressing. Like that is really really good news for like getting us out of this and onto the next stage. Like that's like the best news I've heard about this since this started. And I just read that today. My sister who is
Good.
a biochemist sent it to me, and she's like, have you seen this? I'm like, oh shit, like finally some good news about this. So
I
you know
heard a little bit about it on the radio today. Yeah. So, well, I just want, the most important thing to me is that I can have my Browns start playing football in the fall. So we need NFL football. This country needs NFL football. I think the virus probably will go away the day after the election.
See, I don't necessarily think that, and that's mainly because I don't think the Democrats are this competent to pull this off. Like, in terms of what is an easier conspiracy for me to believe, the Democrats, like, rigging some paper ballots, or the Democrats causing a worldwide economic collapse and pissing off Russia and China and all of Europe. Like, the Democrats aren't that smart. The Democrats kind of suck. So that's why I don't think I don't buy that conspiracy, because if the options are rig some paper ballots to make it look like Biden wins, or that, I don't think they're that competent. I really don't. I think we're giving them too much credit.
Like I said, I don't know who to, you go on the news in the morning, you watch local TV, you don't know. One person says the one thing, the other person says a different thing, the third person says something else, you read something different, you don't know what to believe. So I find myself not really watching the news as much, kind of checking a little bit, but I don't know. And getting back to, I want to get going. I wake up in the morning, we make coffee, we watch a little bit of the news, and boom, I'm going. I'm doing something.
Yeah, I mean, well, mainstream American media, like, you got Fox News on the right, you got CNN on the left, and they all have their agendas, and it's sort of hard to find, like, where are the trustworthy sources, and it's really rough. Like, I've been using The Hill as my news source. They're, like, really independent. It's like you got this liberal chick and this conservative dude, and it's just like they cut through the bullshit, which is really nice. So I'm a big fan of them. And as far as, like, my trusting on like the news on COVID, I don't basically trust anything other than, like, the scientific journals that I read. So I don't trust the CDC. I don't trust the White House. I'm just like, what's coming out of nature? What are, like, the actual scientists saying? Because that just cuts through the bullshit. We're just like, there's no slant. It's just like, here's the research paper. Here's the shit that we see. You analyze the data. Like, that's the only source I really trust on COVID stuff. It's just, the scientific papers that are coming out.
Well, text me and fill me in when you find something out.
Yeah, I mean,
Let me know.
I shared the vaccine paper on my Facebook, but I'll forward that to you. But yeah, it's probably, I know you're on limited time. Is there anything else you want to touch on, like what you got upcoming musically?
Here's what I want to do. I want to do part 1 and part 2 because I want to talk a little more, but I want to talk for a long time. So can we do it part 1 and part 2?
We can do a part 1 and part 2. So it's basically just we have to find a time when we're both available to do this. But I would love to, because I mean, for me, this is just like catching up with an old buddy and, finally getting to chat and doing it more than once every 5 years, or whenever I come up for a gig or something.
Yeah, when are you coming back? Usually come around Labor Day, right?
There's no plans with, like, I basically right. I put everything on hold with COVID. Like, we had some gigs planned, and we were like, the thing is, in Nashville, there are a lot of, really big name musicians that I know that canceled gigs because they didn't want anyone going to their gig potentially getting sick, because the numbers were rising so high because the tornadoes screwed us at the same time as COVID, so we all canceled our gigs. And so for us, we're just like, you know what? We're a small enough band. No one gives a shit about us. Like, if we, stop playing gigs for a year, we're not going to be that missed. It'll be fine. Like, the 50 people who might show up at the show might miss us, but whatever. They'll see us when everything's safer to reopen. Like, it's not that big of a deal for us to take a year off and work on other projects.
All right, so we'll end with my latest project, the whole story and saga of the apple pie remake of Cherry Pie.
Yep. Which I did a reaction video to that on my channel. Watched it.
Watch that. I appreciate that. It was very good. You were truthful. It was kick-ass. So I'll tell you how it started, though. So I have a really good friend of mine up in Cleveland. We've known each other since the early 80s when we met each other in a battle of the bands. His band beat my band. His band, Rendezvous, beat my band, Fractured Image, at the Draft House in Strongsville Battle of the Bands. But we became good friends. His name's Enzo Maddalena, and he's a drummer. And he's literally been in Nashville, recorded a major label record. He He had a band that was called Pony Express, but they got a record deal and signed it to Kid Lonesome, I think. He backed up Kenny Rogers on drums. He's been around. So, later in life, he's had a successful business. It's kind of like a cleanup business, like a disaster. Like when the flood hit Nashville. Remember the flood that came through Nashville?
Yeah.
His trucks all went down to Nashville, and they sucked up water and dried out things for months. But every once in a while, he gets the bug to get in the studio. So he calls me. He's like, "All right, pack your bags. We're going to Nashville. Let's do something." So came down to Nashville, and we went into a songwriting house with our buddy Joe Denham. You remember Joe Denham?
Yeah, I remember Joe Denham.
Yeah. So we went in the songwriting house, and we just sat on those couches, and we started playing ideas. And basically, we wanted to rewrite a song that was already a hit, because basically it's already a hit. I can't, it's already got that going for it. So we came up with the idea of making a country version of Cherry Pie named Apple Pie. And, the lyrics flowed out. It was about apple pie moonshine. At that point, apple pie moonshine, and this was about 2 or 3 years ago, was very hot in the market. Apple pie this. And so we wrote the song. And the very next day, I went into a studio and produced it with studio musicians. And that singer, what's his name? Cartwright, Adam Cunningham.
Adam Cunningham.
I forgot. Adam Cunningham, and he kicked ass on it. We also did a country version of one of my songs called "Party Like the Weekend Never Ends." Did I ever send you that song?
You never sent me the country version of it. I know your version of it,
I got a
which is
country
great.
version of that, and then I had a ballad from Kid Wicked called "Promises, Promises" that
Great
we
song.
did a country version. We did all three of those in one day, and our plan of attack was to get Jason Aldean or Toby Keith or Keith Urban or anybody of those super high level guys to like the song and put it as like song number 14 bonus track or something, so we could just make a little money, just get it out there. Well, that never happened. And it stayed on my hard drive for a couple of years, but my good friend Stevie Rochelle loved the song. So after everything died down, Stevie called me. He's like, "Hey, I'm managing this guy, Early Ray. Can we do your song?" I'm like, "Absolutely, this is great." So, when Stevie Rochelle from the band Tuff and Metal Sludge website does something, he does it 110% balls to the wall. He does it. So he hired this great video company, like they're a Nashville or a NASCAR racing car video. I mean, high tech, great producer, great guys to produce this video. And Early Ray, and they got the 2020 version of the Cherry Pie Girl, the Apple Pie Girl. We know Bobby Brown, so we had Bobby Brown do a cameo. I believe it was at the Rainbow.
Yeah, it looked like
and
it.
this was pre-COVID, so she did her cameo in February, and we were all set. Then Ray, and he was like, "Hey Billy, and Stevie was like, we need you to be in the video to tie it all together, because you were with Janie, and Janie wrote the song, and we've got the Cherry Pie Girl. It'd be really cool if you would be in the video." I'm like, "Man, I would love to be in the video." So we waited. The video shoot got canceled because of the COVID, and then we waited till everything reopened back up. And me and my girl Leah got in our car, and we drove down to Charleston, North Carolina, which is right on the border of South Carolina. I got like 3 hours sleep. Got up at 5 a.m, and I drove into South Carolina, into the country, and we did this video shoot all day. It was great. The guy was a great producer. Ray and the band, Early Ray, were very good, very nice people, very good to me. The girl came in after I was done, so I was all done. We did all the band shoot in a field, and then I was done. I was pulling out while she was doing her makeup and stuff. So, and then I was done. So basically, yeah, I produced the song. I co-wrote the lyrics with my buddies. I played the guitar solos, and then that's it. I don't know. Stevie Rochelle had the idea for this guy to do it, and now he's marketing it, and we're doing some interviews here and there, and hopefully it takes off.
Yeah,
I think that's about it.
It's gotten very positive response from the viewers of the channel, and like Steve, my bassist, and I, we've been talking about this song for years. Like, man, is that ever going to come out? Like, we were just mentioning it every now and then, and so like he would come.
Yeah, I think me and you hung out when I was in Nashville. Remember, we went and
we
saw.
grabbed pizza. We grabbed pizza afterwards. Yeah.
remember we were watching Joe Denham rehearse, and then you went down and got Tony Higbee to come down and say hi to me?
Yeah, I remember that.
That was then, right?
I think that was another time you were down in
That was
Nashville.
another.
Because I think
Yeah.
because I remember with the time you were down in Nashville after the apple pie thing, you saw me outside of the pizza place, like, whoa, you don't look like terribly unhealthy. You're in good shape and you look happy. I thought Nashville would slaughter you. I remember that. I remember that was your impression. You're like, whoa,
Yeah,
Greg's
well,
healthy and
so
happy.
we
What?
probably, and we ate pizza. Yeah.
But yeah, it was that was a small victory for me
Yeah,
because like
and we'll be
Greg
down there
not being
again. So,
yeah.
let's see how the apple pie song works out. It was fun. Anybody that thinks that we're trying to cash in on Janie Lane is high as a kite because I love him like a brother. I always tell everybody, he made my rock and roll dreams come true. Every single night that I sing one of his songs, I say "Rest in peace, Janie Lane." I miss him. I love him. This was done in fun and in tribute to Janie, and maybe people thought that he didn't like that song for some of the cherry pie, things that went along with it. But, nobody can deny the fact that that song's an anthem.
Mm-hmm.
That song's an anthem. Nothing but a good time. Cherry pie, pour some sugar on me, living on a prayer. Those songs are anthems. And cherry pie is right up there with all of them. And I believe that out of all those guys, Janie Lane was the greatest songwriter of all of them, and by far, when he was on, that boy could sing, and he had soul to his voice, and he had feeling, and he had soul, and I guess in part 2 we'll talk a little more about my life on the road with Janie Lane, but yeah, that's it. So let's end with part 1 right there. We'll wrap it up because I got to get back to soldering out in the garage, and I got to get out, and I'm installing a sound system in a club in Galion, Ohio called Planet 14. That's what I do, speakers, sound, recording studio, solder this, fix this, wire this,
Always spreading
fix
yourself
this.
too thin. But I want to say one more thing before we sign off and do the plugs. I want to say that, for anyone who questions your integrity about, cashing on Janie's legacy, when it was push come to shove of taking the easy money gig and staying with Warrant, or going with your buddy Janie when he left the band, like, you took
Yep.
that pay cut and you went with Janie, and you took that risk because you had loyalty to your friend, and lost out on money through that. So it's not just trying to cash on Janie's legs. So like when Janie needed you there, you were there for him, and you're a true friend. I just want that to be known to all the people
Absolutely.
out there. So
You know
when
what?
push comes to
You're
shove, you
one of
were
the
there
only
for him.
well, you're one of the only people that know that, and one of the only people that's ever said that. Yeah, it wasn't even I didn't have to decide. It was like, oh, Janie's quitting the band. I'm staying with him.
Yeah, he's your buddy. That's just it. You're
My
brothers.
bro.
That's just what you do.
We were writing. Yeah, we were writing songs together. He was living in Cleveland. It wasn't even a thought. It was like I'm staying with Janie, no doubt. And you think about it. They got the original lineup back together, which is what they probably should have done with the original drummer and the original guitarist. And had I said, Janie, I'm going to stay with the guys in Warrant, a month later they'd have fired me anyways because they wanted Joey Allen back in the band, which is the right thing. Why wouldn't you want the original guy in the band? He's great. Mm-hmm. They're great guys. I always appreciate my time with them. It didn't end very well because, like you said, I made the decision to go with Janie, but they didn't like that decision so much. But I made the right decision, and everyone's happy. They've got a career out of it. I've got a great career out of it. I always have to say formerly of, because I am formerly of. I'm allowed to say that it's biographically correct, and many more things to talk about Janie. But you're right. I picked him, and no regrets, not one regret.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that the listeners knew that because I have a lot of respect for you for that and for a number of reasons, but just wanted to make sure that was stressed. And now do the plugs. Tell the people where they can find you. Promote your shit, bro.
Well, if you got to the end of this interview, I appreciate it. I have a website, BillyMorrisBand.com. For some reason, somebody owns BillyMorris.com, and they won't sell it to me for less than like $6,000. But BillyMorrisBand.com, it's a pretty generic website, but pretty soon I don't know if it's even done yet, but I'm going to be having a lot of my music up there for sale. You can click on some stuff and listen to it and hopefully download it. And that's going to be going back all the way back to my early Kid Wicked days with a lot of the songs that I wrote with my buddy Mike Zuder. So there's like 3 Kid Wicked CDs that are going to be going up there. There's a Billy Morris Band CD that I wrote right when I left Warrant. There's a Billy Morris and the Sunset Strip CD that's going to be going out there that was released. Like I said, didn't sell much, but I feel good about it because I really think that it's a great CD.
I agree.
And I
That's
think
a great CD.
A great CD. There's some great songs on there. I can re-release it and remarket it and, hopefully for the best. So check out BillyMorrisBand.com, Billy Morris on Facebook, SmokinRockandRoll.com, Smokin Rock N Roll on all the social media, Liquid Lifestyles if you want to learn how to swim better, and my latest website, FullyKickass.com. No, I should.